Please do not talk to me in the morning, baby. Also, don't talk to me any other time of day.
Yeah.
Hey, fun fans. It's We Enjoy. Caught us in mid-laugh there. Just joking about the old Twitter machine being possibly potentially owned by Elon Musk. Nothing's finalized yet, so no verdict there. Don't be fooled by the rocks that we got. We used to have a little, now we got a lot. We're wrapping up our Jenny from the block here as we close out our Jennifer Lopez marathon this week with the main event, Hustlers from 2019, which I had not seen. Eric had seen. For some reason, I thought he hadn't seen it. I thought it was going to be a movie we could bond over our ignorance of, but I was wrong.
I saw it in the theater. I feel like, just to cover, if anyone's wondering, we were recording this on Wednesday after it was announced that Elon Musk is buying Twitter, but then there was some reports about, will this really go through? So that's what all.
And even if it does go through, it'll still take a while. Like it's not like
it's not like
you can notice changes right away.
Contextually, some people were acting like it's like the deal's finished, but it's not.
No, these types of things take a lot of time.
Yeah, Jesus, it's like
turns out $44 billion is a lot of money, and actually, how much money? So much money. People actually really don't fathom how much money that is. Like,
right?
It's so hard to get a grasp of that because we're like, oh yeah, millions, then billions. It's way more than you think. Okay, so Hustlers in the main event. Then we'll reveal later on in the episode what our main event will be next week, because we will be kicking off an actual franchise. A franchise. Can you guess it? Can you guess it before we get there? Think of a big summer tentpole movie coming out that we might revisit the franchise of before it hits theaters.
We are going to watch Top Gun several weeks in a row.
They just Top Gun over and over again. As Fred Durst said, just think about it. And we've got some news up front here too. And let's start with one. Eric, I'm a little TO'd here. I'm a little TO'd, a little irked because not because of the project itself, although I have gone on the record a few times over my disapproval of Sony, their Spider-Verse, their Spider-Man universe spin-off movies, particularly ones that take villains and introduce them immediately as heroes and like take away any sort of potential that they could play a villain against, I guess, Tom Holland's Spider-Man in that regard, or even if Toby or Andrew return for something. And these are cool villains that are now sort of like unusable. The other thing that irked me, and I mentioned this, is the fact that with Morbius and more of these movies like Venom and Venom 2 and so forth coming out, there's for broader audiences, there's less of a clarification and less of an understanding that these are not MCU movies. And now everyone just calls Marvel movies MCU movies. And they think the same people who made No Way Home made Morbius, and the same people who...
And this confusion went back when like the Deadpool movies were being made by 20th Century Fox, and some people thought those were MCU movies.
When Bad Bunny was announced to be starring in Marvel's El Muerto, and is it even Marvel's El Muerto? It's Sony's.
I mean,
in
it's
association with Marvel. In association with Marvel. But I'm saying, like, I saw so many tweets coming out, like with the initial news announcement, saying Bad Bunny is starring in a new MCU movie. And these were these weren't just from fans or something. These were from actual sites.
Now, usually I'm the one who's seen the bad tweets, Matt, but this time it's you.
Maybe I was on the lookout. Maybe my radar was up.
Maybe.
Because it's already a pet peeve of mine. But Bad Bunny starring in according to some sites, an MCU movie, which it is not. It is another Sony Spider-Man verse film, which I'm not saying, again, not against the project. Bad Bunny, huge superstar. Also a professional wrestler, having appeared in both a WrestleMania match and the Royal Rumble. Accomplished in the ring, Bad Bunny is going to be playing a wrestler who has teamed up with Spider-Man like once or twice, not very many times.
He's literally appeared in 2 comic books.
Yeah. El Muerto, who is a luchador wrestler, who has a magical mask. That's as much as I know that gives him powers.
That's about as much as I know too. I might have read these issues. It was actually Peter David who created him, I believe, in the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man book about 15 years ago. But yeah, I mean, the most obscure cut to get his own movie. Because look, like we mentioned, like Arthur Harrow, the villain of Moon Knight, was a character who was a one-issue character. They literally just, and this has happened in other Marvel adaptations where they just take, and DC, where they just take a obscure character's name and they kind of just do their own thing with it. But it's not like a TV show called Arthur Harrow was like launched, you know?
Yeah,
exactly. El Muerto has appeared in 2 comic books, one more than Arthur Harrow. So it is fairly wild. Now, I don't know, Matt, did you see my Twitter thread where I speculated about why this movie exists?
No, the only thing I see on Twitter are people miscategorizing this as MCU.
Wow,
that's the only thing I see on Twitter. No, what did you say?
Matt.
I know the algorithm is way off.
So funny because I saw a lot. I mean, of people,
aside from the fact that he's a megastar, like
a lot of people were tweeting, like, of course, like, what the hell are you doing, Sony? But there was also a specific thing that was a little weird that kept coming up, which is a very specific. Like, what are you doing, Sony? You could do Spider-Man 29.99 and you're doing this. And the reason they kept bringing it Spider-Man 29.99 is because that's another Latino character, Miguel O'Hara. And so it was like, why not do that one? I really think is cool versus this one. I probably have never even read the comics because what are the chances most people have read those 2 issues? But to me, I'm like, well, first of all, it's a weird thing to be like, every Latino hero is interchangeable. But more importantly, I'm like, this movie doesn't exist in place of a Spider-Man 2099 movie. Don't worry, guys. They'll get Spider-Man.
I know that's coming from a weird place where it's like, it's a weird place, but also not an unprecedented place where it's like you have the chance to use a major Latino star. You're using it for El Muerto because you get one shot.
Right.
Like,
but more importantly, the main thing I posted was that this movie I think is more symptomatic of a thing that I think you and I both agree is not a great thing these days. As much as we love comic book movies, we love good comic book movies, we should say, which Marvel Studios makes a lot of, but which is that like less and less you get. It's harder and harder for non-IP movies in the theaters, especially, and. My thought on El Muerto is this is how you get a weird movie about a luchador wrestler in the theaters, is its tenuous connection to Spider-Man and the fact that like, oh, there's a character that we have in the Spider-Man universe, because I'm like, look, Bad Bunny, all I know about Bad Bunny, I had never heard of Bad Bunny until last year when he started doing WWE stuff, but I quickly found out, oh, he's a big star. And B, he loves wrestling, and C, he actually trained really hard and did a good job in his wrestling matches. That's all I know about him. I still couldn't name a song of his at all.
He has a song called I Love Wrestling.
And on top of that, does he?
No, he does not.
Oh, I love wrestling. I love Spider-Man. He's then I'm like, and I'm just using clues here, guys. This is all speculation. He is in a Sony movie this summer. He's in Bullet Train, the Brad Pitt movie. And I'm like, look, Sony's probably like, hey, let's make more movies with Bad Bunny, who's a big star. Maybe we like what we've seen of him in Bullet Train. He likes wrestling. He'd probably like to do a movie about a wrestler, but we're not going to just do some random movie about a wrestler. Could we sell that? We don't know, but it's a Spider-Man connection. It's such a tenuous one, but we do. Someone responded to me saying they actually had read one of the articles mentioning that Bad Bunny had come to them with this idea. And I said, if he did, very savvy of him, because that's how he would get them to greenlight it. Is like, hey guys, I have an idea for a crazy Mexican wrestler. I have a character from Crazy Mexican Wrestler who you own because he's a Spider-Man character. Ooh. So that's what
Why do this when you can do Bonesaw Origins, Eric, is what I'm saying. What about the untold story of Crusher Hogan, the original Bonesaw?
So, as someone who is more like, I do think Sony is, they're throwing a lot at the wall. I'm not quite as doom and gloom as some, maybe even not as doom and gloom as mad about it, because like Morbius, as much as Morbius sucked, it's like they made that movie like 3 years ago. But I'm like, this one especially, it just feels like
I'm coming from a place of Morbius, which I haven't seen, but more from a place. One
day you're going to see it and fucking love it. By the way,
it just becomes my entire personality.
Your huge tattoo.
I just become a giant Morbius boy.
Right.
No, mine is based on Let There Be Carnage, which I thought was
right,
absolutely
right.
abysmal, despite the fact that it, cleaned up at the theaters. I'm basing it on like, they're hit or miss right now, but they've got 2 hits to the 1 miss. But I think that like the second hit they had was undeservingly so.
I get it. But yeah, so I just think this is such a different case, though. Like, this character is obscure to a hysterical level. And I just think it's like the reason this exists is more about Bad Bunny, whether he came to them or they came to him. It is more about wrestling movie with Bad Bunny. And the Spider-Man thing is just the package they wrap it in, I say this and then it turns out to be so. I saw people tweet something similar about it'd be funny if this is the movie where Tom Holland shows up. Like, this is like, he's
like, yeah, I'm back.
Connected.
I'm back. The movie he returns for? Plant Man: Coconuts to You.
Well, then, I mean, come on, that would make
Coconuts to You. I mean, is Coconuts to You the sequel since it's the colon? And the first one's just Plant Man. The second one's Plant Man: Coconuts to You. Who stars in that one? Who knows? John Hamm. He couldn't be Mr. Sinister, so he'll be Plant Man.
Oh man, if I just want to see him dressed like it, even if it's an SNL sketch now.
Okay, moving on to more movie news. It looks like Family No More. The family's busted up for Fast X FX. The 10th Fast and Furious movie has lost its, not just its director, but like I said, one of the family. The director of how many? 5 of these movies? He directed this 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 9.
Yep.
So Justin Lin, who was going to direct Fast 10, Fast X, is out citing creative differences. Do you know what those differences are? Was it the fact that they were going to split it into 2 movies, or what was the deal here?
No, I mean, okay, it's very notable.
Does he
right?
hate Brie Larson?
It was a huge deal that he was coming back, for what at the time was said to be 9 and 10. Then they made like a 2-part finale, 10 and 11. But the whole deal was like, look, this is the guy who clearly like made this series what it is, and he's coming back and he'll finish the series. And he's done so many of them. And we should mention, they were a week into filming. He directed a week of this movie, and then he quit. And, they talked about how, it's amicable and he'll still be a producer on it. It's Vin. There's no way it's not Vin. There's no way they were this far that they were filming the movie. And this man, who is a producer and director already on it, has creative differences. Yes, that creative differences happen. People like leaving midway through productions happen. But for Justin Lin on his 6th Fast and the Furious movie, I just think we know too much about how Vin is Vin, and he's a lot. And
if Justin Lin directs Hobbs and Shaw 2, then we'll know it was Vin. What's that?
Did you see? Because I had not seen this, but when I did a tweet last night about, this is a bummer, and also it's got to be Vin, someone tweeted to me, did you see this video that Vin had posted on his Instagram the other day that really does seem to be like, look at this, it's Vin saying, we just wrapped up week 1 on Fast X, or Fast X, yeah. And he walks over to Justin Lin, and he's trying to like make him do his like Instagram thing, and Justin Lin is like, yeah, we did it, and this is gonna be the best one yet, right, Justin? Well, what I hope. And he just seems like
that's creepy. That's like a found footage movie. Like that's like what you find after everyone on set's been killed by someone, and you're like, that's awful.
So again, who knows? But it's gotta be Vin. I just feel like it's just everyone, because Vin is Vin, and I'm sure he has. There's people on these movies that he gets along very well with, but there's other people that I'm sure he gets along with well because they know how to like deal with him. And who the hell knows? And one day maybe we'll find out in some big tell-all. But there must have been some impasse for him to say creative differences.
Is it literally like Vin trying now after this long and being the major curator of this entire series, just trying to direct like as the star?
I think so. I think it's look, there are people that are infamous for this. Stallone, and Beatty.
Yeah, but Stallone knew enough to like hire just sort of like milquetoast placekeepers,
right,
while he really phantom directed everything. So yeah,
right.
like,
But I don't know the answer to the question. Did those people realize when they signed on that they wouldn't really that this huge star who has directed was going to be calling the shots or not? But yeah, that's again total speculation. All we have to go on is that he is, quit as director. But my guess is that's probably it. That Vin at this point wants to act like a director more and more, like on set, not just having creative discussions before they film. Now they were actually filming, and that there must have been some like, I can't direct this movie if this guy is really going to be over my shoulder to this extent. Again, I'm just guessing here, guys. Maybe I'll be totally wrong, and it'll turn out to be him and Ludacris.
it was fucking Tyrese.
right. But I'm Jordana Brewster. But I just have a feeling it's probably that. And it's also a funny thing. I saw some people, Brian Collins, and people on Twitter talking today about how it is funny that everyone's like, because look, they're like right now, Universal's like, we're sticking to our release date, like, which is next March or something. They have to find a director quickly. So it's funny when people are like suggesting huge directors. I'm like, the odds of these people being free, guys, are, slim.
Yeah. And so like, obviously what's F. Gary Gray doing? Or, well, James Wan's probably unavailable, but I'm thinking, anyone who's done that series, but then also, God, like, how far down the list do you go? Is this when Ratner gets a call? Like awful people.
Ratner, I think, is off the list.
I would hope so. I hope he's off every and all lists forever. But yeah, I mean, or who do they bring in just so that Vin can phantom direct it? I don't know.
It's a bummer. It's a bummer, though. I am bummed.
Yeah, if you're looking for family, I guess we're gonna have to go to Olive Garden, Eric.
Yeah.
Because you know what they say.
Did Dwayne Johnson call Justin Lin?
I'm telling you. He jumps over to Team Hobbs.
Well, yeah, because Chris Morgan jumped over to Team Hobbs. Chris Morgan wrote 3 through 8,
and was a huge part of like maintaining the history and continuity of that series, bringing back past characters, and paying off things that were plot lines and people who were dropped movies previous. So yeah,
I don't think Justin Lin will really direct the Hobbs and Shaw sequel. I know, but I kind of want him to, because it'd be amazing.
What a scandal! Fast and scandalous. All right. Speaking of scandalous, well, this is a weird thing because we've talked briefly sometimes about The Walking Dead here and the fact that it's not the show it once was, not by a long shot, but it is still successful enough on a global scale to keep going. Though it is wrapping up. It's got 8 more episodes until season 11, the final season of The Walking Dead, finally ends. But during these past few seasons, when it's been waning in popularity like never before, all these things were being announced. And one first were like the Rick movies that were going to have theatrical releases. And then it got whittled down, I think, to like 1 Rick movie. And now it's not spoken of at all. No. To the point where Rick left. We're supposed to know what happened to him. Michonne left looking for Rick. We're supposed to know what happens to her. None of this seems like it's ever going to be answered. So we'll never know what happens. Then right on the cusp of the final season, again, where, fewer people were excited about than ever, the Carol Daryl spinoff was answered, which also simultaneously spoiled the fact that these two would probably survive the show.
I think you meant announced, not answered.
What's that?
I think you meant to say announced, not answered.
What, the show? Yeah. It's late here. My word maker, no worries.
No worries.
But or unless one of them does die and it's just sort of like a Dexter style ghost that talks to the other person.
Yeah.
But and then even on top of that, the Negan Maggie Take Manhattan series was announced just a month ago or so.
Mm-hmm. Which I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan even said, I'm surprised they announced that. I thought like basically he agrees that it's giving away too much about who's surviving to the end of this show right before the end.
Which I'm for, I still sort of half watch this show. They're 2 of the few characters that I actually care about. So I'm willing to watch Maggie and Negan take Manhattan and then take each other erotically on top of the grave of Glenn. I want this to happen more than anything, even though I don't think Lauren Cohen wants to, because even the fact that she's sort of friendly and has a truce with Negan at this point, she doesn't like. I read in some interview she was saying she didn't like it. Anyway, The Carol Daryl spinoff is now at this point, if it still goes forward, seems to be just a Daryl spinoff because Melissa McBride, who's been playing Carol since season 1, actually Carol and Daryl are both the only characters on the show who's been around since the first season. This show is relocating production to Europe, which makes me think even to cut its budget even more, it's going to film in like the forests of fucking like Bulgaria or something, Romania or something around, something in the Eastern Bloc.
We're naming places that may or may not have forests, but
but does have its own ready-made dilapidated buildings. I don't know, but like, it's not London. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. But anyway, she can't relocate to Europe or doesn't want to, and so Carol is out of Carol and Daryl, which means it's Daryl and Dog. I don't know, Daryl and Poochie, or just don't do the show, which is probably
it's just weird. Look, I mean, I haven't watched this show in years. I will say that Daryl became like fairly unkillable. Like it felt like, you know, the show reached that point of like anyone could die at any point. Can they? No, it stopped.
Daryl
felt very
after Rick left, he didn't even die. That stopped. There was a big like thinning of the herd with the Whisperer War, but no one major. It was like Tara and like a bunch of people who were sort of.
I remember reading who died.
It was like mid-Carters, but like no one big has died.
right.
Years of like, I would say the 7 main people. So
so it just sounds like I will say it's unfortunate just because look, again, going by someone who hasn't watched the show in years, Carol was a really cool character to watch the evolution of, unlikely like her whole arc and just seeing that, you know, what she got to do. And whereas like Daryl surviving to the end of this show felt like a foregone conclusion, him getting a spinoff felt like, okay, of course. Her being part of it was kind of like, okay, that's just kind of another cool thing that she's been there from the very beginning of the show, and it's still there. It sounds like, it's a purely like practical personal decision where Melissa McBride is like, for whatever personal reasons, she can't leave her family. Who knows? It's like, I'm not going to move to Europe. Very understandable.
Yeah, she's like, I don't want to film this show.
If people.
I don't want to film this show in Transylvania. Like,
right.
Like, stop it.
So, it's funny because people are like, "Oh, she's torpedoing her career." I'm like, unless she's probably not. I bet she's been good with her money over her 11 years of a hit show.
The fact that she's probably been making.
I'm okay.
She's probably been making a lot more money in these past few seasons too. Seeing as how she's been around so long, but also the plan was to kill her off in like season 3, so she's outlasted way longer than she was supposed to be on the show. So yeah, she's set in her career and on the convention circuit for the rest of her life. So yeah,
exactly. So yeah, again, I'm so out of the loop on Walking Dead, but I do from afar be like, oh, that's too bad, because now it's just a Daryl spinoff, which just feels like, yeah, of course, you know.
Let me tell you, everyone who's still alive. All right, here's who's still alive: Ezekiel, Eugene, Rosita, Aaron, Gabriel, Carol, Daryl, Negan, Maggie. Those are the big ones. Then there's like a bunch of weird. Then there were the people who got brought in strangely, in a big way, and then right after Rick left, and there was a time jump.
I don't know any of those people.
Yumiko and Princess.
No, I don't want to hear names I don't know.
All these people, but none of them have been killed off. So it's like, it doesn't matter. All right, there's so many of them. I hope there should just be a giant explosion to get rid of.
I was going to say they just fall into a pit after they've defeated all the zombies.
Like the Parks and Rec pit. I fell in the pit.
Yes, that one exactly.
All right, let's get out of here. Get out of the news portion of the show. We should briefly mention that I think we touched upon this already as a news item, but it has been officially greenlit. The Harley Quinn animated series spinoff Noonans, which features Kite Man running a bar for villains.
I just say yay. Like I said when we first said that was in the works, Noonans working title. So we'll see what the final title of the show is.
Daryl, they gave Daryl a love interest too, and now she's a villain, Eric.
Okay, sure.
I don't remember her name. She's a big part of this show.
Does her name also rhyme with Daryl? Like Carol's?
It's Meryl.
Meryl. There you go.
All right. What do we do next? I can't remember. There's no mail this week, so it's
What
all
do we
good.
do?
What do we do? Where do we go? You can follow us on Elon Musk's Twitter at the Matt Fowler and the Eric Goldman, and the podcast is at We Enjoy Podcast. Over at Patreon, you can give us a couple bucks a month for a completely uninterrupted ad-free version of this podcast, and you can write to us at weenjoypodcast@gmail.com.
I wish I could remember. Someone friendly folk on Twitter had mentioned into how he hoped to hear us do like a deep dive on Justin Lin leaving Fast X, and I was going to reply on Twitter. I just was busy thinking, well, I don't, we weren't going to do a deep dive, but we were going to talk about it, and I was going to say that it's got to be Vin, which is what we did.
Well, I mean, like, how much of a deep dive can we do? I think we dove as deep as possible.
Mm-hmm. Again,
all we know is what we know.
One THR or Deadline, someone's going to get a bigger story on this soon.
Guy on Twitter, we did all the Fast and Furious movies, so that's our deep dive. So you can actually just listen to.
We'll talk about these next two when they come out.
All right, so let's get into our what we do next. Good things to enjoy. That sounds right. This time, I am recommending a not Hudson Hawk movie. My pick this week. And I'm hyper careful now to make sure that it's nothing that I recommended before, because sometimes I even talk about things I like in a very casual, cursory manner on the podcast, and then I can't remember if it was an actual official trademark good thing to enjoy. I still haven't. I don't think the verdict has come in on Long Kiss Goodnight yet, if it was something I actually recommended or not.
I still have like 5 more to fill in.
Oh no! Okay. Well, I'll ask you, did I ever this isn't actually my pick this week. Did I recommend Pen 15?
Yeah, I'm 90% sure you did. Yes, you did it. You did a 2-for-1. You decided you were going to recommend The Great and Pen 15.
Oh, 2 Hulu shows. Okay.
Yes, you went Hulu crazy one week.
Everyone should go so Hulu crazy. Okay, well,
that was on our August 12th episode, Candyman for Will to the Flesh. Great, episode 30. Great.
Thank you,
one.
Dr. Spreadsheet. Okay, so actually, I was thinking of Pen 15 because this is another cringe comedy. Pen 15 is filled with awkward, embarrassing moments, and that will make you hide your face or duck under a pillow or pace or however it is you deal with those haunting Three's Company moments that would make me leave the room when I was a kid. Jack and Janet have to get married because Chrissy's priest father thinks that they're engaged. And then I would leave during the commercial break because it was too nerve-wracking. Okay. I would just leave. I don't know how that ended. Maybe they got married.
Could have all worked out. We don't know.
Okay. There is a popular English series that came about, I think at the end of the aughts. I don't even know when it ran because I didn't watch it until later. I didn't watch it until just a few years ago. Even though there was an American version made that was quickly canceled for MTV. This is The In-Betweeners, which is a amazingly funny and vulgar story of 4 British teen boys and their school misadventures and their sexual misadventures and just them being absolute shits to one another. And it's hilarious and quotable. And it was so popular that I believe not 1, but 2 movies were made. The In-Betweener movie. I don't know if the second one was a hit, but the first one surely was. And let's see. I'm going to double check it. Yeah, the In-Betweeners movie and the In-Betweeners 2. And these came out. The last one actually, the In-Betweeners 2 came out in 2014, and In-Betweeners came out in 2011. So the In-Betweeners, you can see it on Netflix, and there's only 18 episodes, 3 series. Gotta love the Brits. And it is just fucking top to bottom very funny. But again, if it's not your bag, if it's not your thing look, The Office has become, after its cancellation, one of the most popular shows ever, modern era TV comedies, and it's filled with absolute embarrassing, nerve-wracking, awkward moments. So I think the majority of people out there like that kind of comedy. This is all of that boiled down to the most awful things you can think of as far as what could make you want to jump out of your skin. But it's hilarious and I love it. And it's basically the story of Will, who's sort of the central character, and his best friends, Simon, Jay, and Neil. And Jay is sort of a sex-obsessed liar. Neil's sort of a twit, and Will's this sort of pessimistic, selfish brat whose mom is a MILF, and the other ones make fun of him about. But yeah, it's really funny, and I recommend it. That's my recommendation. And it's, again, this isn't quite me going like, it's a good movie, Avengers Endgame. This was a popular show. So it's not like this was sort of like a flew under the radar cult hit. This was the fact that it got 2 feature films made out of it means that it did have quite the heyday.
Yeah, I'd still call it a cult thing, though. I mean,
the fact that it's not it's from the UK is obviously something that would make it not as accessible to us here in the States. Yes,
because this is the here's my thing with the In-Betweeners. I'll just mention is that I've never seen an episode of it, and I'm just aware of it. This is the most I've ever heard about what it's even about, Matt, because I'm just aware it's popular. And I knew there was one movie. I didn't remember there was a second one. But when I saw that you were going to recommend, I'm like, oh, that's a thing I know exists. So I'd still call it a cult thing, at least
don't call it a cult back. It's been here for years, specifically from 2008 to 2014. The 3 series and 2 movies.
There you go.
And I think the second one actually did okay. Making In-Betweeners 3, guys. I don't know. They're all grown-ups now, so it doesn't matter. But yeah.
Complete the trilogy.
I recommend it. I think you... does Trish like awkward, embarrassing things?
No, I mean, I think they make her too uncomfortable,
Yeah. I'm saying, like I said, this is not everyone's... since it is a British show, this is very apropos. It's not everyone's cup of tea.
Mm-hmm. Before I go into my official recommendation, you actually are making me think of something that I will throw in as one of my quick physical media things, only because it made me think of cringe comedy, which is the fact that I just watched the Turning Red 4K release, which is a very recent movie that I recommended just a few weeks ago. But a lot of the comedy in that movie, of course, is very like super cringe, like
especially the first act,
especially the first act. When I interviewed the director, she mentioned talking about how that was a very specific thing they were trying to do.
She said, I was really influenced by the In-Betweeners.
And I was really influenced by the In-Betweeners. Anyway, the 4K is really cool as far as there's a commentary and a lot of deleted scenes, and that she does an intro on each one and why they were.
Does it have Joker?
Does it have Joker? The Joker scene is back in.
Good. Thank God.
And rewatching it, I was just reminded of how much I loved it. But that's not my official recommendation this week. Although you should watch the movie if you haven't, and you should get the.
We should just separate that into like Eric's physical media corner as like a segment. Yeah.
My physical media corner.
Physical, beautiful Stephanie.
Beautiful Stephanie. That is a deep cut. Reference.
I don't know why I did Johnny Five's voice very creepily that way.
That's right. But my official recommendation this week is a movie on Netflix. We both, by the way, I like that we both recommend things on Netflix because look, we call out Netflix a lot for problems we have with them, and one of the big things is, of course, is how they just throw so much out at us that there is a lot of good stuff there, but it's hard to find.
Yeah, but mine isn't a Netflix original. Is yours?
Well, mine is, except there's the caveat that I'll say this is a movie that debuted on Netflix because Netflix bought it. I will point out that a lot of the best Netflix movies, like Mitchell,
our acquisitions,
were produced by other people. That is the case here. This is a Blumhouse movie that they bought after a film festival screening. But the reason I'm recommending this movie this week is because watching Hustlers, I thought about it, because this is a movie called Cam that was debuted on Netflix in 2018. And it has 2 direct connections to Hustlers. One is it is about sex workers, and 2, the lead of this movie is Madeline Brewer, who is in Hustlers. And
she plays Dawn, right?
But notable role as Dawn.
Yeah.
A lot of people will know Madeline Brewer from The Handmaid's Tale, but she was also in Hemlock Grove and Orange is the New Black. She's actually been on Netflix.
Hemlock Grove was a Netflix original.
It was, and Orange is the New Black, but now Handmaid's Tale, is obviously a big hit.
Who was she in Orange is the New Black? I watched all she was in the first
season. She was
first season. Okay.
Yeah. I believe she acted fairly black. Her character, she was like, this girl.
Oh,
was,
okay.
like, someone's
maybe.
Yeah.
It rings
Yeah, but she is fantastic in Cam, which is about you might be able to guess from the title. It's about cam girls. People who are doing their sort of like live streaming, stripping and more videos online. And this is a sort of a freaky horror-esque. As I said, it's a Blumhouse movie. It's not like pure horror, but it's definitely horror adjacent because it's about this girl.
Oh, is this like the clone movie or the doppelganger movie? Okay, I remember the trailers. Yeah.
The main things here are that she is a cam girl who's very obsessed with rising the ranks on the service she's using. They rank the girls by popularity, and she wants to like make it to number one. Like she wants to get into the top 50. She wants to prove that she could get up to the top there. And the two things that kind of are
it's like when I was trying to read the Burger Time score.
Exactly like that. In fact, they based it off that.
Good.
And the inciting incidents here in the movie is that she does a video where she fakes a suicide, where she fakes it in the middle of her doing her sexy cam video. She slices her own throat, and it becomes very popular. And the fact that she faked her own death, and that makes her decide that she can start leaning into more macabre stuff like that. But what you remember from the trailer is that mysteriously someone shows up on this same service who looks just like her, a doppelganger of her, who is taking over and is like, seems to be just like her. Yeah, her clone, her doppelganger, and what is going on here? What is happening? Who is this girl? And it gets sort of a weird and freaky. And I really dug the movie. The writer, Issa Mezzo, I'm trying to say her name right, was a real life cam girl. Obviously, this did not happen to her, but I like that she sort of took her real life and incorporated as far as what her experiences were like doing this job, but then was like added on this, like, what if this crazy shit happened? And Madeline Brewer is so good in it, like just as far as like her character, who is so, like I said, she's like wants to climb the ladder at the beginning. Like she's so like, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to be the best at it, while she's also keeping it a secret from her mom.
I mean, it's all Burger Time, because you climb so many ladders in Burger Time too.
Right. And Daniel Goldhaber, the director, does a really good job. Anyway, really dug this movie. It's been on Netflix since 2018. It is still on Netflix, and you can watch it there. It is called Cam, and it is very good. And it
wouldn't go anywhere, right? Like, because it's an acquisition.
I think the TV show, the Marvel thing has really thrown us for a loop as far as like how long do they keep an outside studios TV show. But yeah, the movies, you'd think, I don't know though. I don't know. I will say this, that it's a tangent, but we do that. People will talk about how like, Netflix shows never make it to Blu-ray, and it always has to do with the outside studio, because some of them have. And that's because the
House of Cards.
And these are all shows.
Stranger Things, like the big one.
Well, Stranger Things was Netflix themselves. Stranger Things is, I believe, the only time that Netflix self-produced
physical media
and did a physical media version of it. But several of the ones that have been made and the same goes for the movies, like Mitchell's versus the Machines, when we talked about, had a Blu-ray because it was a Sony production that was originally going to be a theatrical release. So sometimes they do. Would a movie like Cam that they acquired ever leave Netflix? I don't know the answer to that. But for now, it's on Netflix.
Yeah, sometimes they come back. Sometimes they come back again. All right. All right. Let's dig into next week's movie, which is a talk about a cult under the radar movie that's yet to be discovered. We are going to be talking about, I think I hear Eric very faintly humming the John Williams score to 1993's Jurassic Park, because we will be doing the Jurassic franchise leading up to Jurassic World Dominion, which is supposed to be the final film in this 2-trilogy 6-movie.
Final asterisk.
Yeah, never say never. Nothing's final until you're 6 feet under, I guess, right? So, but yeah, starting it off with Jurassic Park. Then we'll do Lost World and Jurassic Park 3, and then we'll get into the Jurassic Worlds of it all. But yeah, so we thought that'd be a fun thing, fun dino adventure to take leading into the summer movie season, and one of the biggest movies this summer, which will reunite. Everything will come full circle. Life does in fact find a way, bringing back the three original stars of the first Jurassic Park movie, blending the two casts together. Yeah, the way these legacy sequels do. Yeah,
I think this will be a fun one because Jurassic Park, most people have seen Jurassic Park 2 and 3, Lost World and Jurassic Park 3. I think if you're younger, I don't know if you've seen them. Like Jurassic Park, the first one is probably a movie that even if you're younger, you've seen at this point, because it's just like at some point you will. But do you watch Lost World and Jurassic Park 3? I don't know. So I feel like or you either you're young and you haven't seen them, or you're older and you haven't seen them in forever. So I think that those will be interesting for people to revisit, especially.
Also, like Jurassic Park can stand on its own. So yes, if people 100%. Just want to watch it, they can. And if say if parents showed their kids these movies, they may have just showed them the first one because it's like it's the best of those first three, and you can just watch it and not continue forward. So Jurassic Park, and I'll mention this again next week, is one of a handful of times in a movie theater watching a movie that I was like, jaw on the floor, or as James Cameron would say, shitting myself with my mouth wide open.
Yes. Which, by the way, we now know that Avatar, the way
shape
of water,
the shape of water.
No, it's the way of water.
The way of water. Why do people want James Cameron to fail? Why are they like want to pre-dunk on this movie? It's so sort of weird. It's so weird because like he's made some of the best action movies we've ever seen in our lives, and his third acts are almost unbeatable and unparalleled. Like third act Cameron is formidable. I love he created like a 40-minute stretch in The Abyss that is better than most full-length movies. Of just he's able to layer drama and conflict on top of each other in such a way. Anyway, I don't know why
also,
they want
but also
him.
his box office success. It's because today with this announcement, I was pointing out the fact that because they also announced that Avatar, the original, will get a theatrical re-release in September, which is something that years ago I said they would do. Of course they were going to do that.
Yeah, we've mentioned that when we said that Endgame's hold on the top movie ever is only temporary because they're going to do this.
But I don't know if even you remember, Matt, that Endgame already is not number one because Avatar was re-released in China last year and passed Endgame.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Okay. So I pointed out today on Twitter, I said a lot of people don't realize that this will not change anything because Avatar is already number one again because it made 60 million. It was a big hit when it got a re-release in China last year. So it'll just remain number one. But I also pointed out how in North America, it's interesting to note that the number one movie still in North America is not Avatar or Endgame. It's Force Awakens, which is still the only movie to break 900 million in just North America. I don't know when that will ever be broken. But the other thing, we can move into second hustlers, but I just want to say that I was looking at the top 10 movies ever domestically. And the top 10 movies ever are all at this point Marvel, Star Wars, Jurassic World is in there. So you've got like 3 of the biggest franchise ever. So like, yeah. And 2 movies directed by fucking James Cameron.
Yeah,
like it's like
which aren't based on any IP,
which are not based on. Yeah, so it's like that's why it is so funny that like, oh, I think he's gonna fail. Like, guys,
I guess Titanic is based on history, like like IRL IP, I guess, right?
Yeah,
but like it's like they want to not, and it's fine if you're cool or cold on Avatar. It wasn't my favorite.
I'm not saying like you must love Avatar.
Of his, wasn't like by a long shot. It wasn't my favorite of his
it's
films.
Way low for me on my list.
I enjoyed seeing it. I think I saw it twice in the theater. I thought it was one of the few movies that actually worked with 3D at the time.
100%.
But yeah, so what if the go see the movie if you don't like it, whatever. Like who cares? Maybe like the fact that he's filming like. Maybe there's people might think it's presumptuous for him to film so many sequels in a row. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's that left a bad taste in some people's mouths because it is it is kind of the apex of arrogance as far as like, this is going to do so well. You're going to see fucking 4 more of these movies. Anyway, all right, Hustlers. You know who's a hustler? James Cameron.
He was originally going to star in this movie.
He was.
He was going to be the fifth. There was going to be 5 of them working together.
He did all that pole dancing training for nothing. I mean, he toned his core really well. Mm-hmm. All right, Hustlers. I hadn't seen this movie. First of all, I was aware that J-Lo did pole dancing for this movie and learned to do a lot of the hard pole dancing because she did pulled it out during her halftime performance with Shakira. I know she was very proud of it, very accomplished at it. I didn't know she'd actually be free button it in this movie. Whoo! Was not aware of that. I mean, I understand that it's about strippers not at Scores. They changed the name to Moves, but I guess I've just been watching her in movies for so long where they just sort of tease her butt, then all of a sudden it's like, whoa, okay. Full J-Lo
we
butt.
should. I think if we're ever going to talk about J-Lo's butt, now is the time.
This is the movie to talk about.
But also just to explain to the youth that look, she's obviously a beautiful woman, but I distinctly remember it was the first time like media had, because look, there's always going to be beautiful celebrities that media obsesses about, but J-Lo, the obsession with her butt was like the first time I remember that aspect of a person being talked about so openly, like Jay Leno making jokes. And like, it was like this, like
we're talking 20 years ago, obviously, right? Like we're talking like 90s,
but it was just a thing like, oh, she has a great butt and we're going to talk about it. It just was, it just stood out because people were talking about it so much. And this movie seemed to be the, I don't know, like here it is, guys.
Was this the J-Lo butt endgame?
Yes, it was.
All right. And her pole dancing is phenomenal. And I'll say this too, because we jumped 19 years in her movie career here.
Yeah.
The movies she was doing early on were sometimes good, sometimes bad, always interesting. She was very soft-spoken. She was very she was sort of underplaying roles, but not in a bad way, Out of Sight made that work the best. But here, she is playing an actual character. She's commanding, she's loud, she's not like the lead, so she's more of a character actor here and playing a very assertive, dominant, fun role. And her acting is so much better, right? Which you would assume after, of course, 2 decades, but like just the jump was sort of a night and day thing. Like it was really great to see her play this type of thing because Constance Wu is the center of this movie.
Yeah.
And J-Lo gets to be much more of the character, the sort of the more bombastic, louder, more colorful character in the movie.
Yeah. And look, I mean, and this movie was, I don't want to call it, don't call it a comeback. I've been here for years, but it was sort of seen acting wise as a bit of a comeback for her because A, she just wasn't making that many movies, as we mentioned. And B, she did so many romantic comedies where it was just kind of like, no one was expecting like great acting in these things. And she is a likable actress, but she's not like a Sandra Bullock where it's like, oh, she's so great comedically, like go see this for her to be hysterical. And Out of Sight had always been her most like acclaimed performance. But this movie, people loved her in this movie. There was a lot of talk about her getting an Oscar nomination that she ultimately did not get. But there was a big push for her to get a supporting actress nomination for this. And it did, a lot of people, I think it did make people like sort of like reassess her because she just hadn't been doing that much. And the things she'd been doing had been very like light for so long. To see her in this movie, which is, has a comedic part. It's not like this is not a grim movie.
So I thought the movie was pretty good. I wouldn't say it's like a great movie because based on a true story, it didn't feel like, I guess for the third act, it didn't feel like it went anywhere as far as like the reporting, investigating crime aspects of it. Ultimately, it was a story of friendship, right? Like it's a story of sisterhood and friendship and bonding and finding your own people and your own family and creating family where none exists. And like the bond between Ramona and Dorothy, because at the end, when you find out that none of them really got all that much, all very, they didn't really get punished that much for anything they did. You're kind of like, oh, okay. Like, cause the whole time you're like, oh, they're going to get caught, the danger element. And then they do. And it's like one of the least important parts of the movie, honestly.
Right.
But yeah, so I thought it was pretty good. It was it's basically like a very breezy movie. Like it's full of montages and just more of a depiction of the inner workings of this lifestyle than it is, and the era than it is like an actual crime expose. It's directed by Lorraine, I think, or Lorraine Scafaria, who directed Seeking a Friend for the End of the World, which had Steve Carell and Keira Knightley in it, and wrote Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, which was directed by Peter Sollett, who just directed Metal Lords on Netflix, which was written by D.B. Weiss, which I didn't think was that great. But anyway, that's a tangent. And she's a longtime partner of Bo Burnham. He dedicated Inside to her. And
she owned the Freddy house until very recently.
Yes, where he filmed inside the Freddy house.
Which is still amazing to me.
So she wrote and directed this, and it's based off of a 2015 New York Magazine article called The Hustlers at Scores by Jessica, who is being played in this movie by Julia Stiles. At that point, a journalist, this time in the movie named Elizabeth. But all
the names are changed. Yeah,
all the names have changed. We've got Constance Wu, who hit it big in the movies with Crazy Rich Asians, but was on Fresh Off the Boat for how many years? Like 5 years or something like that. 6. And she plays stripper named Destiny, real name Dorothy. Then we've got Jennifer Lopez, and we've got a bunch of recognizable people. We've got music stars Cardi B and Lizzo. We've got Keke Palmer in there, who has had a long career, but also will be in Nope coming this summer.
And Keke Palmer and Lily Reinhart, are the other 2 members of the sort of core 4. So they are, they're kind of the most prominent here amongst, like you said, very recognizable.
Yeah, I don't watch Riverdale, so I'm not too familiar with Lily Reinhart. Trying to think.
I watched the first season and a half of Riverdale,
and I didn't see the latest. I guess it says here she only had a cameo in the 2019 Charlie's Angels, so never mind that. Okay, and then we've got like I said, Julia Stiles. We've got Mercedes Ruehl, who is quite the movie player back in sort of the 80s and 90s, as the sort of den mother of moves, the manager, the overseer of the girls, the ladies, the strippers at this club. And then, as you mentioned, Madeline Brewer, who sort of comes in the third act as a wild card who ultimately brings about all of their downfalls. 80s, 90s star Frank Whaley is also in this briefly. Devin Rattray is in this from the Home Alone movies and even the latest Home Alone movie. Usher plays himself. So there's a bunch of recognizable people in here, but mostly it's sort of like an interesting lifestyle spotlight portrait of this movie as far as like what goes into stripping, what it was like 2007, what happened in 2008, and how that affected basically the Wall Street clientele that would go into these clubs and spend a lot of money. And how kind of like that with the crash came the crash of their spending habits, and therefore the desperation move on our protagonist's part to sort of make money, which was sort of to first get them drunk and take advantage of their money, and then eventually drug them. All right. What do you think of this movie, Eric?
I really did this movie. Only my second time seeing it. I saw it in the theater and I saw it again, and I remembered I liked it. But rewatching, I'm like, I really like this movie, even though I think it has some flaws, and especially in the third act, there's a couple things I wish that they kind of elaborated on. I'll elaborate on that when we get there. Where I think they could have gone a little deeper. But I definitely overall really enjoy it as far as Jennifer Lopez is the standout here, but I like all these women, a lot of really good performances. I like the energy and the vibe of the movie. I think there's a couple things that don't land near the end, but overall quite positive on Hustlers, and watching it again was it last night, 2 nights ago, it solidified that for me. So
there's a couple Janet Jackson songs in here, which even though it's taking place in sort of from 2007 to 2014, these are early 90s Janet Jackson songs that are great. I've never even, I don't think I've ever said this out loud to anyone, how much I absolutely love Miss You Much. Like that was one of my favorite songs when I was a kid.
I did not know that, but it is a very catchy song. That's for sure.
Oh, I love Miss You Much. And I love the video too. They had the Miss You Much dance that they were doing too. Yeah,
I mean, when this movie ends with that song, I'm like, hyped.
Well,
like,
it ends with the song and it's played in the middle as well.
Right.
There's a couple instances of Miss You Much here, which I very much appreciated. It starts with Control, though. Janet Jackson's Control, as we enter, moves the club with not a very long oneer, but kind of a oneer following Constance Wu as she sort of navigates backstage and then out front, in the front of the house, like trying to hustle clientele in the VIP rooms, just trying to get dances. And she's the new girl, and Cardi B's character sort of treats her as such and sort of like, pulls her hair at one point. And so and she has to like give a cut of the money she earns to basically everyone else who's working there, like the DJ and like managers backstage and stuff. So she's not being very successful until she meets Ramona. And so she's our eyes, she's our audience surrogate, taking us into this world. And then Ramona comes in like with the grandeur that she does, and
Fiona Apple
dancing to fucking pole dancing to Fiona Apple's Criminal. Wow. And God, yeah, J-Lo put in the work here doing that. Pole dancing is so goddamn hard. And like, yeah, so she did it, and like she put in that work. They're going to show that scene. Like they show her, like it's an extended moment, and it's a great introduction to Ramona. And the movie and
showing how Dorothy is like entranced by her. I know some people like.
I mean, is she shitting herself with her mouth wide open? Who's to say?
Yeah, she's having a full Avatar, the way of water experience. No, it's like, I know some people might read it as to be like, oh, is she like falling for her? And I'm like, no, it's not. I don't think it's literally that. It's just like, this is a person who like just grabs your attention and that she will idolize and see as a big sister and motherly figure, and just like, but also just like want to emulate, just like, like she's got it both specifically in the career that they're doing, but also just feels like she knows what she's doing. She's got it all figured out.
And she's got the moves that Destiny wants. And, again, like, yeah, not in love, just enamored, in awe, mesmerized, and also sees an opportunity to apprentice. And so it's kind of like, and, the movie's smart enough to just sort of make them fast friends, because again, in this business, if she's sort of a maternal figure and she's searching for these lost daughters, and vice versa, she's looking for a mom because her parents abandoned her, they're going to find each other really quickly. And so it's not, and so when she's just like, can you teach me the ropes? And she's like, sure. And then we're off to the races, because we don't need like her to like convince her. There's no convincing Ramona. Ramona's just like, hey, get inside my fur coat and let me show you the ways of the stripper force.
That fur coat scene, by the way, Matt, I remember a lot of women on my Twitter feed talked about how much they loved that scene, and just like, again, J-Lo looks like $1 million in this movie. And her, wearing almost nothing except this grand coat on this roof, and wrapping her up in it. And again, is I think the point is that it's everything. It can be a little bit sensual, it can be very motherly, it can be all of that. That it's just this whole. It's the whole package of her being like, I will take you under my wing, very literally under this.
Yeah, it's maternal, it's nurturing, it's protective, it's all those things where you sort of like, basically bringing you into my code is bringing you into my world. Mm-hmm. And then we start realizing, as we cut to, I think the year is probably 2014, where an older Dorothy is talking to Julia Stiles' reporter character. And if you're not familiar with what the movie's about at this point, you don't know what the crime is, but she's asking about like if it was Ramona's plan to work together. And basically that sort of winds up being, those interview cutouts wind up being sort of the reason for it feeling like a narrated story. Like the fact that like Dorothy can take us through either through voiceover or just us knowing that she's telling this story to a reporter, and that sort of allows us to go through, not only just go through the story itself, but go through in an accelerated fashion. Like I said, there are a lot of montages in this movie and a lot of sort of, and then we did this, and then we did this, and they show us, and like the citing of rules and how we, even like when Ramona's talking about the 3 types of Wall Street people, like that, this is the framing that allows for that. So, and then we go back into the past where she's actually teaching Dorothy, to do the pole work. And so we've got sort of a teachable moment here involving the pole. Cardi B comes in and they have some classes in classic grinding.
Also, we learned the rule: you drain the clock and not the motherfucking cock. Yep.
That's on. I have that bumper sticker. And then we've got. Then we start meeting more of the people backstage, including two characters. Well, at least Kiki Palmer's Mercedes, who will become more important later. And this is when we start learning about the clientele and the climate, the economic climate of what they're dealing with, as far as like, the 3 tiers of Wall Streeters and what they want, and how degrading things can get depending on how rich someone is. And Frank Wally coming in, Wally,
can't remember, to represent the worst.
All I know is that he and Jennifer Connelly actually hooked up romantically on the set of Career Opportunities, and that's all I needed to know. So yeah,
did they?
They did. I heard it. I heard it from
lucky bastard.
I heard it from Gene Stapleton's son.
Do you know that one of my earliest lockdown pandemic purchases was a Career Opportunities Now on Video poster on eBay?
Wait, what? What is happening? What just happened? Wait, what?
I'm saying that early in lockdown.
Okay. All right. I'm with you so far.
I found on eBay a Career Opportunities poster, but it was specifically a Now on Video, a video store poster for Career Opportunities, and I bought it. Because what else was
Jesus H. Fucking Long
also,
John Silver's catch of the day. Oh my god. Okay.
But at least
you didn't get the movie theater standee of her writing on the mechanical.
Oh no, which I remember her talking about one of her professors awkwardly telling her he saw. Also, like the 3 tiers thing, and like learning, like obviously at the top are these super rich a-holes who can be really creepy and dangerous, and as we'll see later, it's like probably Jennifer Lopez's character, who's been around doing this longer than the other girls. It's like that's probably kind of how she sees all of them. It's like she stopped making a distinction between them because she's seen the worst, the most of all the other girls.
And then we've got, so Frank Whaley's playing like the worst of them, the type who come into the back without the cameras and go into the VIP room or the champagne rooms without cameras and can drop 15,000 in a night. And it's described, it could be a degrading, progressively violent experience. So he's sort of like a creep. And then a lot of this movie is tricks of the trade. A lot of this movie is like how to put money in your boot and how to do this and, figuring that out. And also it's sort of the aspirations of Ramona when we learn she has a daughter. She wants to have her own swimwear. And they just find each other, fast friends, fast, just confidants, really like, again, or even like sisterly sibling type relationship, mother-daughter, if you want to go that way too. And yeah, inseparable. I think this is what the movie's about more than anything, again, because everything else doesn't, like all the dramatic moments don't pay off as like later in the movie. Like one of the best things is like her taking her daughter to school, not just dressed like she's dressed, but like with bloody on her.
Yeah.
And like it's sort of nothing comes of that. Like it's just sort of she gets looks and then nothing really happens.
Also, we get in the middle of this. We get that line. Ramona has the line. It's business and it's a more honest transaction than anything else they did that day. Just again, speaking to like these Wall Street guys and certainly how she sees them, which is all they do is, shitty, probably borderline, if not outright criminal stuff all day. So them paying to see me naked is at least just being like honest with what they want, you know?
Yeah. Destiny also lives with her grandmother, I guess, who helped raise her, and played by Wai Ching Ho, who you would recognize from the MCU's Netflix shows Daredevil, Iron Fist, and The Defenders, where she played.
MCU.
What's that?
I said MCU asterisk.
I mean, at the time they were, and they're using these actors again.
Yeah. I'll say there's always an asterisk to those shows, but yes, all the Marvel Netflix.
She played Madame Gao, who was a member of.
She was in several of the shows. Yeah,
actually, she wasn't a member of. The Madame Gao was separate, right? Was she part of the Fist? I can't remember.
I don't remember. The
Whatever.
Hand, you mean?
The Hand, the Fist, the Foot Clan. It's all the same. Okay.
There's a lot.
And then we've got. So yes, she's sort of, you know, a part of the movie. She not only does Dorothy not want to be sort of beholden or dependent on anyone, she also wants to do right by her grandmother and give her a lot of money and gifts and stuff like that, and reward her in the ways that she feels she deserves.
Which especially contextually makes sense later, because learning that her actual parents abandoned her, but that this grandmother was so good to her, you know, and raised her.
And through all this, we see like this whole, like there's even a scene where she's studying and Devin Ratray's character comes up and he's kind of like, they get to talking and she's like, well, I don't have a computer. And then the next scene she has one. So it's like, you put two and two together and you figure out, you know, like they're just using these guys to like, you know, get them things, buy them gifts, be sugar daddies.
And then they'll get these regulars that they can kind of keep on the hook.
Yeah. And then but then it's a lifestyle movie as well, because we see them get progressively more successful and richer and get new cars and new apartments and just, you know, sort of live the high life in a gleeful fashion and just really like what they're doing. And then this basically it all comes crashing down, and then they just build themselves back up again to a certain extent.
Right. I was going to say like the apartments and stuff come later, but yeah, things are going well. She has that line about 2007 was the best. Matt, I will say that the Usher cameo is amazing. And in the theater, it killed. Like the audience was cracking up, like, you know, that Usher playing himself as like, you know, their greatest night. The night Usher came in and made it rain, and they all danced on stage. His song playing. Very funny cameo. I wonder if they always went to Usher, or if there were other people, you know, that they considered.
I don't know. I mean, if Usher was part of the original story of somehow, maybe then I don't know.
Right.
Scores is a chain,
a lot of
but also a big,
and a lot of celebrities, you know.
Yeah. All right. So then the 2008 financial crash,
or we should say the real place with Scores. Obviously, again, names were changed in the movie.
And this is Moves. Very, very different. And then basically at this point, we meet very briefly. He appears here and there throughout the movie, is like her boyfriend, Johnny, who after their initial meeting, all we ever see of him, the fact that aside from the fact that he helps give her a daughter, is them like fighting. So he's there very briefly, but it's the worst time for their crash because she has a baby. And then we kind of like everyone lost touch after they stopped working. And we find Dorothy years later, because I think by the time she reconnects with Ramona, eventually it's 2.5. Her daughter's 2.5, right?
It's 2011, I think, is the time.
And so she, you know, she's trying to get work. She's, you know, and basically she's calling her old, clients to seeing what their situation is. And Darren Ratray comes back and he's married. And then she goes back to Moves, and the everything's changed. It's not as, you know, the rich people don't come in anymore. The girls are all now sort of like Russians who do sex acts for money, for extra money. Mm-hmm. And Dorothy actually finds herself doing one of these sex acts in a moment of desperation before. And then even Ramona too, right? Like she was working at Old Navy, and everyone was trying to get by doing the 9 to 5, and they were just like they couldn't make it fucking work. So then Ramona basically comes up with this whole scheme of like taking these guys for all they're worth, as far as like getting them drunk, steering them toward the club, and then charging their cards and maxing out their cards and stuff like that, which still happens to this day. These types of things. This isn't like this. This case didn't put an end to this tactic.
So if I see a movie where they bust some drug dealers, there's more drugs being dealt after.
Yeah, they didn't. The war on drugs apparently did not end drugs.
Look, this is an attention getting. This movie exists because it's attention getting story as far as like, the strippers that con the Wall Street guys out of all this money. But it's interesting that first it's interesting. They're not strippers at the moment they do it. Like it's like them being strippers is actually not part of what they do, because they don't approach these guys as strippers. They approach them as like party girls, like
well, and then they have to spot the guys with real money, right? Like how to do it. Look at their watch, look at their shoes. There's certain ways of telling if somebody has deep pockets or they're just like out like with a jacket on that makes them look nice,
And they bring in, they're the other two girls who are, the main girls. Keke Palmer's Mercedes is, she worked at Old Navy with Ramona, and they were strippers together. So she comes back into it. Lily Reinhardt is like a young girl who started working at the club in the interim.
Her propensity to barf has some funny moments.
Very funny. I had forgotten about that, and I was laughing a lot again about how it's a very funny running joke about how she keeps puking. Keke Palmer, by the way, watching this movie, I was like, yeah, it's funny because Keke Palmer I know is like pretty famous, but I only have seen her in this movie, and then I forgot that she was in Scream Queens, the TV show that I did watch the entire first season of. So this summer, there's no way I'm not seeing Nope and Lightyear. She has a big summer with those two movies, but that will double the amount of projects I've seen Keke Palmer in. And I've liked her in all the things I've seen her in.
Like you're in all the things you saw her in. She was, I think. She, the big thing that she started on was the Nickelodeon show True Jackson VP, and then from there she did a lot of animated voices for Winx Club and like Ice Age, that franchise, which
Jennifer Lopez.
Yep, that's how they met
there you go,
in the booth.
No, they met at the strip club.
They met at the strip club called Ice Age. Very different. Their continental drift means something completely different. Strip club. Oh, the 44 Below. Yeah,
that's gonna be on the Penguin series.
The Penguins of Madagascar series. Their strip club. Yes. The Penguins open a strip club. Skipper. All right. So then, where are we at? Okay,
our
so
friend
then
Brent was one of the writers on the Penguins of Madagascar movie, and I don't remember that being part of it.
No, but it will on the TV show.
Okay.
This is the natural evolution of the story.
Not the old TV show, the new TV show. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so then basically Dorothy and Ramona finally reconnect, and there's no hard feelings. They're both really happy to see each other.
They have that very emotional reunion.
Yeah, so much so that Ramona brings her in as a fourth. So like literally they're like, they were splitting money 3 ways. Now she likes her so much, obviously they're going to split it 4 ways. But then they come up with the idea to actually drug these guys with ketamine. And I can't remember something else where basically it makes them so unresponsive and
MDMA,
and they black out to the point, basically where like they don't remember what happened to them, except that days later they find out that $5,000 to $10,000 have been charged to their credit card. And
the ketamine wipes their memory. The MDMA makes them happy. That is what the pitch is here.
And so this is the part where even the Julia Stiles reporter character is like sort of like clutches her pearls a bit, right? Like drugging these guys. Of course, we're all in. And even later on, like Elizabeth, the reporter, talks about how she didn't feel sorry for these guys. So we're not built up to feel any sympathy for any of these guys, except maybe at the end when they're talking about Doug Bleep Bleep, because they're bleeping out his last name for silliness, even though they change all the names. Which is that, like none of these guys are bastions of purity or basically leading an ethical lifestyle. So it's like, and the fact that they work on Wall Street even puts them in an even worse light as far as like, well, they're thieves, they're people who
stolen money. She argues.
Yeah. Basically, it's like this is kind of a Robin Hood story, except that they're just taking the money and not giving it to the poor. But they're basically stealing from the stealers, and so. it creates an atmosphere of wanting to see them succeed and wanting to see them like rise up off of the sort of like diabolical work of these Wall Streeters and like give themselves a better life for them and their kids and stuff like that. So yeah.
And this movie is there's a lot of good comedy. I think it should be the Lily Reinhart puking is very funny, and I do think it's a good when they cut to Julia Stiles like very wide eyed when it kind of gets to that turn, and Constance Wu saying, I know it sounds bad to say we were drugging people. It's well done, good energy.
And when people called and complained, Ramona would handle it, and then it got to a point where they start saying, hey, we can't keep doing this to strangers that we just see in a bar. We need to actually start calling our contacts, our old contacts, and bring them in and doing this to them. Things just start sort of like before, there's the rise, obviously, like you mentioned, the apartment and the big Christmas party is sort of like the heights of all of this.
The big Christmas party is the new Usher.
The new Usher, the new We're Living the High Life, the new Beans Don't Burn in the Kitchen. Nana's there and they're giving her a present.
All the kids are there.
The kids. So it's, this is a big family. And they found a way to sort of cheat or scheme off the system that's already scheming off everyone else. And then
and we see that like you said, the rise, of course there has to be the fall, but it's like the less controlled it is, this is always the case, but it's like Ramona is making it more and more like pushing it further, but then Dorothy is the one who says they should outsource, which ends up causing problems.
I had a few issues with the fact that Ramona started to get strangely sloppy as somebody who's like, this was her brainchild and she's the one who has all the rules and here's how things are. And she's the one who sort of taught Dorothy everything she knows. But then, bringing in junkies or bringing in criminals, bringing in like shady characters like Dawn and which is set up to look like sort of a Destiny replacement, the way she's sort of maternal to Dawn and like doting over her. And there's a little jealousy there. But it does feel like sloppy in a way that Ramona maybe wouldn't have given the first part of the movie. So
this is my biggest complaint about the movie. My problem with third act is that Ramona, who obviously Jennifer Lopez is excellent in this role, but I wanted a little more. And it's like you have to figure out the right way to do it because do you give her a big monologue? Is it more organic? Again, she's not the protagonist. That's Dorothy / Destiny, but it feels like a little bit of a missing piece there because I do think yes, we see she has this like tendency to sort of take these girls under her wing, but you're right, Matt, that it's like because she's endangering herself and like crossing lines like with Dawn and some of these girls specifically because they're doing these crimes, so it's not even just like I'm gonna be nice to this girl who needs help, but this is endangering us to do this. It felt like we needed a little more of an explanation of like what is motivating her at this point than we fully get.
Yeah, because we only see how it affects Dorothy. We only see it from her point of view. Ramona's not available. This, Mercedes client jumped from a roof and needs to go to the hospital. And like this whole ordeal. Ramona can't get on the phone. She's the one who's trusting Dawn. She's the one who's not available. And so, but we never get like the other side of it, like you said. And so it just felt like too convenient, like sloppiness for the sake of convenience. Whether or not it's based on a true story or not, you have to explain it from a character standpoint, and it's just kind of not. And but this is sort of it's not the end of them yet because unfortunately Nana dies, and the falling out they have is very brief because they sort of reconnect at the funeral again, but then comes in Doug and the story of the fact that, like, again, the fact that Ramona would do this to somebody who can't afford it and to somebody who has a son who's autistic and special needs. And when she's a mother herself, doesn't feel right. It feels excessively cold for somebody, for this guy to be the mark.
Yeah, this part of the movie also, well, we're skipping past a couple of things I want to go back to, but this part of the movie that you're talking about, like when her grandmother dies, is the most Ramona is sort of outright like villainous and almost depicted as like a devil figure, because she really feels like she's manipulating Dorothy back into this, like by being like, oh, you're so upset about your grandmother, let's pull some of our cons, where it feels like she's not being just nice to her friend in this moment, and she's willing to go so far to like harm someone who really doesn't deserve it. Yes, it's kind of established that she seems to feel like all these guys deserve it, but yeah, it just feels like, again, there's just a little bit of a missing piece here about her, especially because ultimately the movie's not going to end being like, and she was evil. It's going to be more sympathetic than that, but it just feels like at this point she's sloppy and she's being much crueler at this point. And I felt like, we didn't get like that payoff on all that with her.
What was you said we skipped over some things you want to talk about?
Oh, just, we skipped over like, there's, very funny scene. Well, first of all, I just want to mention that there's another funny bit of off of the Such a Happy Christmas of cutting back to Julia Stiles saying, so getting back to the drugging, just as far as like, yeah, that's all good, well and good. But also that's like, then we get to the stuff like the guy who jumps off the roof naked and they have to get him to the hospital. This is kind of Keke Palmer's big like comedic centerpiece of the movie, because I think she's very funny in this sequence where she's like, we're not going to kill him, are we? And her hitting him when they freak out because they're going to drive by the cop and he starts to come to. But just again, this movie is showing that things are getting like darker, more dangerous, but it is operating, the whole movie tonally is certainly keeping a foot in comedy for much of it, and I liked that stuff. Before we get to the much more sort of sadder stuff with her grandmother and into the really dark stuff with Doug.
Yeah, the dark, and then basically, with this comes the little tidbits where it's like these cases were around, but nobody really, like, they couldn't get enough people to cooperate or testify because they were embarrassed. They didn't want to admit that they were taken advantage of by strippers. Or they were hiding the fact that they were because they were married or something like that. So it was until Doug came about and they started connecting a few dots with another case, like they didn't really have a case. And that's when they basically get Dawn to basically wear a wire and rat them out. And it isn't long before they're all basically like they're all met with like a squadron of police officers, which seems like excessive amounts, like 4 cars pull up with all these cops. And again, like this is another moment where Dorothy and Ramona could have a falling out, but they do, but it's very brief. Like when Dorothy takes the plea deal, Ramona's really mad at first, but then she'd like, again, call back to an earlier line about, motherhood is a disease. Oh wait, is it motherhood is a disease or?
I don't know. The line I put about from when they come out of the police station, she finds that Shakes a deal is, we were fucking hurricanes. I mean, but this is, it is, I will say, in defense of this moment, it's more shown to be like a goodbye. Like she does hug her, so they don't leave on them screaming at each other. But it does, as we see in the movie, like they don't speak after that. It's like that they're, so it's like this has caused this rift. And even though they have a hug,
I mean, it's still though it's So, and then we go to like 2015 where, after the article is published, and it's sort of implied that maybe they might reconnect because she tells Dorothy that, hey, you should call Ramona, because we do another flashback to the actual interview that Elizabeth has with Ramona and how fondly she talks about Dorothy, and she's got the childhood picture of her. And then that's the moment when it's cemented even a little bit more that she did see herself like a mother character, or she said, like, if we only knew each other back when we were, younger, and we could have helped protect each other and look out for each other and stuff like that. And so it's very sweet. It leaves it a little open-ended as to whether or not these two will find each other again, because they have found each other a couple times throughout the film. You feel like they will, because it's a pattern. But fictionally, we can believe that these two will reunite and, reconnect in some way.
I guess I lean more towards they might not, because I mean, obviously, it's like, they showed that there's this, it meant something to Ramona. She has this, she carries a picture of her, a childhood picture, no less, which obviously ties into like the whole motherly figure. But they do artistically, they do the thing of like, they show their relationship, but they show it in reverse. Like, it's like a montage of like their times together, but it goes backwards. So to me, almost indicating like, like it still is kind of over. But that it wasn't a meaningless thing.
Yeah, don't frown because it's over, or don't cry because it's over. Smile that it happened. It's more like, I feel like also like if the only thing that's stopping them from reconnecting is Dorothy picking up that phone and then Elizabeth telling her to pick up the phone, like they can reconnect. And also the fact that because if Ramona had been sent away for 10 years, I understand why they wouldn't speak again. But she got 5 years probation again. Not no one really got a harsh punishment here. So I felt like reconciliation is never
the other two girls are the ones who had to do some prison time, although it was only on weekends.
They had to show up every weekend to do like breakfast club detention in prison
with Vernon. Also, we should mention that like there are, this is not far from the only movie to be influenced by Scorsese, and a lot of the rise and fall. I think it kind of goes hand in hand with these kind of movies about like criminals and everything's going great, but very Scorsese. The montage of them getting arrested set to night moves, playing the song as like this is it. It's all it's all coming down.
Speaking of songs used in movies, I watched The Lost City this past weekend and agree with you. I already knew this because you tweeted about it, but I agree with you. It's like, you can't use Red Right Hand in that movie for no reason. That's not only is it the Scream song, it is the song to stab the movie within the movie. And
I know, with Paramount, you just put out a Scream movie and then you use it in another movie. What do you do?
Then then we got the Miss You Much. I really miss you much.
And we were flashback to the four of them dancing together.
Yeah, they're just dancing. It's a very happy celebratory ending. Again, indicating to me that the happier things lay ahead for everyone involved.
I don't quite read it that way,
including Doug. So
everyone gets a cool credit with their name in neon and like the letters behind. We didn't mention that this was produced by Will Ferrell and Adam McKay before their tragic
falling
split.
out. Yeah. This was also a big hit. Like
this is a big hit when you look at the budget to box office on this movie.
Yep. This was like as much of a hit as this was like as much of a hit as Made in Manhattan was, or any of her biggest movies. So nice work by everyone involved. Eric, I have to tell you, and those who listened all the way to the end of our Hustlers chat, congratulations, because you get an extra tidbit, an extra Fast X tidbit, which just crossed my eyes on Twitter, which is that every day this movie, Languages Without a Director, is costing $600,000 to $1 million. So every day that this movie goes unhelmed is costing a lot of money.
I mean, again, it wasn't even like we're almost filming. They were a week into production. Charlize Theron was posting pictures from the set, Matt, of her and Jason Momoa.
Oh God, what if Justin Lin left because of Charlize?
No, there's sometimes
if this has been Furiosa's fault, I'm gonna be fast and furious.
Sometimes it's, I think, the most obvious answer. We got to go here. What's that? What's the saying? What's the saying about if it's the most? God damn it! There's like a really.
I was talking about Occam's razor.
Yes, Occam's razor. This isn't Occam's razor. If ever Occam had a razor, this is.
If Occam ever had a need for a razor, it's this time. It's the razor Vin uses to shave his head. All right. That was Hustlers Chat, and that was our JLo marathon. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you followed along with us.
I enjoyed it, even though I don't like to sell. And obviously, I think I liked Hustlers a little more than you, but I'm still glad you enjoyed it on your first viewing, Matt.
I did enjoy it. It was an enjoyable movie. I just didn't think it had. I don't know. It was missing missing something or other.
To me, it's all about Ramona in the third act, because like I really dig the movie overall. I like the feel of it. All the performances, and Jennifer Lopez is so good in it. But I felt like Ramona, they needed a little more filling in some gaps there in that.
You're saying Ramona needed a Beezus, is what you're saying.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying.
All right. Next week is Jurassic Park, which is a good movie you may have heard. Yes. Which I very much enjoyed. I remember
Spoiler alert, we both enjoyed this movie.
I went to see pre-pandemic times a live symphony play the score along with the movie.
I've done that with a couple movies, not a Jurassic Park, but I did that with Prisoner of Azkaban and something else I'm forgetting.
I did that with Hustlers, and it was just Janet Jackson singing in the background the whole time.
Well, that'd be pretty rad. Actually.
It was the best thing I've ever seen in my life. Okay. Until next time, everything is possible, but nothing is real. And we miss you much. And Shakma.
Shakma.